It looks like an ordinary forest, golden light, wet leaves, silence. But here, silence isn't peace, it's a warning. Because in a world full of predators, the difference between living and vanishing can be a single second. Between roots and moss, a green snake moves without hurry. It isn't searching, it's calculating. Every vibration in the ground, every shifting shadow is information. And when the prey appears, it's already too late. A frog, a blink, a burst of motion. The bite lands like a lock snapping shut, fast, precise, final. The frog thrashes, tries to break free, but the snake doesn't need to chase. It only has to hold on and wait for the struggle to burn through the prey's strength. In nature, the one who runs the fastest doesn't always win. The one who makes fewer mistakes does. And just when you think the scene is over, another threat arrives. A dark snake slips through the leaves. It's heavier, tougher, more relentless. But it isn't here for the frog. It's here for something even more valuable. The dark snake rises up, head high, body taut. This isn't just a confrontation, it's a declaration. This space is mine. They size each other up in a moment that feels endless, and then the tension breaks. The first contact isn't a dramatic attack, it's a grip searching for the right point, a clamp at the neck, a sideways strike, an attempt to pin and control. Their bodies weave together, slide over one another, tighten into a spiral that turns the forest floor into a ring. And as leaves scatter and soil kicks up, you understand the forest's harshest rule. No one gives away space here, or time. In the end, it isn't always the most aggressive that wins. Sometimes it's the one who holds on 1 second longer, the one who doesn't open their guard, the one who doesn't give up the angle. But the forest doesn't end among the trees, because just ahead, water changes everything. The river looks like an escape route, coolness, life, food, and that's why it draws everyone in, prey and predators alike. Along the bank, otters move like a team. They aren't alone, and that's their greatest weapon. They coordinate, call to each other, dive in and out of the water like a group that has learned one essential truth. Here, the ones who survive are the ones who work together. Beneath the surface, the water erupts into whirlpools and foam. A school of fish tightens up, trying to flee. The otters cut off the route, close the exits, force the mistake. And when the mistake comes, the river shows no mercy. But even a team can find itself facing something that isn't easily driven off. A spotted cat appears on the bank. It doesn't enter the scene, it materializes. A jaguar. And the most unsettling part isn't its strength, it's how close it got without being noticed. For a moment, everything seems to freeze. The otters see it, and they don't do what prey would do. They stand their ground, they rise up, bare their teeth, press in close. It isn't bravery, it's strategy. Because there's a second rule in this world. If you give up ground, you don't get it back. The jaguar weighs the risk. Even a top predator calculates. An injury here isn't pain, it's a slow sentence. And so the scene hangs in suspension. Power versus numbers, solitude versus a pack, silence versus chaos. And while all of this is happening, the river keeps flowing, indifferent, as if it's saying, I don't choose sides. Then comes the moment when nature shifts gears. The water pulls back, the season turns, and what used to be shelter becomes a trap. Fish are left stranded in the mud. They leap, slam, dig with their bodies as if they could force their way back. But nature doesn't work like that. Here, the one who fights the hardest doesn't always win. The one in the right place at the right time does. And when the level drops, time stops being a unit and becomes an enemy. But there's one thing the forest never wastes: opportunity. And then you see a scene that feels impossible until it happens. Giant carp push right up to the edge, almost haul themselves out, and attack a beehive. Not for fun, to feed. Honey is pure, concentrated energy, and they're willing to risk air, impacts, stings, just to get that prize. It's surreal, fish hunting outside the water, but it's also the perfect lesson. In nature, hunger invents behavior. Hunger rewrites rules, and when a food source is valuable enough, an animal dares what it normally shouldn't. Under the surface, meanwhile, competition never truly ends. Two fish square off nose to nose, shove, clamp their jaws, measure each other in silence. Territory, hierarchy, resources. Even in the water, there's a ladder of power, and often, violence isn't an explosion, it's constant pressure. Then the camera drops again. The riverbed is a carpet of leaves, shadows, and debris. And down there, almost invisible, is a predator that doesn't need massive teeth to terrify: the electric eel. Inside its body isn't just muscle, it's a weapon made of impulses, a strike that doesn't cut, it shuts things down. And if you get close enough, the current runs through water, skin, nerves. One moment you control your body, the next you don't. And that's where the story gets even brutal, because a huge animal enters the frame. A buffalo wades through shallow water, dragging mud and sediment, moving heavy. It looks invincible, too big to worry about anything beneath its feet. But the river always has one more card. The buffalo steps in the wrong place, and suddenly you see it jolt, stiffen, lose control for a moment. It isn't fear, it's electricity. It's the body receiving a command it doesn't recognize. And in that instant, you understand an uncomfortable truth. Strength doesn't save you from everything. Sometimes it just makes you a bigger target. The herd regroups on the bank. They move together, protect each other, catch their breath, because even giants here have to learn to respect the invisible. And when you leave the river and head back into the forest, it feels like the tension should drop, but it's an illusion. A family of tapirs moves through fallen fruit and undergrowth. The young follow the adult, clumsy, trusting. It's almost a tender scene, and that's exactly the problem, because tenderness in nature isn't protection, it's vulnerability. Up above, on a branch, a sand-colored shape melts into the light. A puma. It doesn't run, it doesn't fidget, it watches, it measures distance, wind, angles. Its body is a drawn bow, all power compressed into silence. And when it decides, it happens in a single motion. It drops like a blade, crashes in, grabs hold. The group erupts into panic. The young scatter, the adult tries to shield them. It's chaos, dust, leaves, noise. But for the puma, it's clarity. Find the right point, cut off the breath, close the story. And here, the forest forces you to face its hardest law. This isn't cruelty, it's nourishment. It's energy moving from one body to another. It's survival that doesn't ask permission. After the attack, silence returns, but it isn't comforting silence. It's the silence of whoever's left. And just when you think the worst is over, the camera takes you onto a trunk, through sunbeams and floating dust. A squirrel runs, stops, sniffs, gnaws, small, fast, always on edge. It lives with a radar switched on because it knows there's no difference between above and below. Danger can come from anywhere. You follow it as it slips back into its shelter, into a hole in the tree. Inside are the young, and in that moment, you understand that surviving doesn't just mean not dying, it means protecting something. But the forest doesn't grant peaceful endings, because in the leaves on the ground, another shadow slides forward, a snake, and ahead of it, in the distance, the squirrel. Two worlds crossing by chance, or maybe not. The snake moves closer without a sound. The squirrel rummages, distracted, focused on food, on the ground, on the urgency to store up. And this is the video's final lesson, the simplest and the most frightening. In a world of predators, you don't die when you're weak, you die when you stop listening. Because true calm doesn't exist here. There's only the moment when they haven't seen you yet. And every creature, every day, answers the same question. Are you ready? Right now?